Hey, hi grievers and groovers. How's it going? Whew. Hope everybody is doing well. Let's see what's going to go on here. We're going to talk about birthdays, whether it's celebrating your own birthday or whether it's celebrating birthday of someone that you love that has died. And how do you celebrate those kind of things? And do you feel like celebrating? It's always bittersweet, I think. So I wanted to see what you guys think and how you celebrate your birthdays or the birthdays of your loved ones that have died. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then obviously let me know, where you're coming from and where you're watching. It was my birthday yesterday. And as you get older, I just think your birthday is pretty much whenever you feel like it. So I celebrate my birthday every single day in October, or Rocktober, as I like to call it. Every day that I'm above ground and healthy is a beautiful birthday as far as I'm concerned. But it was my second birthday after my dad died. I don't even remember what I did last year. Oh, I recovered last year, the first birthday that I had without my dad, because I went to see that concert out in the desert trip. So that was a great kind of pre-birthday. And then on my actual birthday, I think I drove home from the desert and then collapsed because it was such a crazy time. But grief doesn't have a schedule. It's been a year and a couple months now since my dad's died, and I just felt really griefy this birthday for some unknown reason. Well, actually, I know what the reason is. Tom Petty dying, and then I was reading all about his daughter and then the journey that she had with her dad, and then obviously losing her dad. And so for some reason, the next day I kind of felt really tired and thought, oh gosh, I think I'm getting a cold. And then I realized, oh no, this feels like grief. So even though a death may have happened a year ago or 2 years or 5 or even 10, you can still feel things intensely. That's the crazy thing about grief. It just comes in wacky waves. And so I just kind of, relaxed a little bit. Estella, am I pronouncing your name right? She's wishing me a happy birthday. Thank you so much. Estella Vera. That's a beautiful name. So yeah, grief doesn't have a schedule. It just comes and goes when it wants to. And so over the weekend, I was feeling a little blue, and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna feel it, and because it's coming up with my birthday. And so I went out to the desert for a meteor shower. And when I say the desert, I mean Joshua Tree, which is about 2 hours outside of Los Angeles, where I currently live. And I'm talking to you from my kitchen in Los Angeles. I watched the stars, the shooting stars, all of the meteors, and just kind of spent time in nature and did what I had to do. I listened to some grief podcasts, just to feel it, even more intensely, but in a good way. I would highly recommend the podcast that I was listening to over the weekend. It's called Sunday Morning, MOURN, and it's by Claire Bidwell Smith, who I'm happy to say is a friend of mine, and she's ventured out into podcasting. And I think that's a really great tool, is to, listen and hear what others are going through with their grief, and just to make you feel like, oh, okay, I'm not crazy. Other people feel this thing too. I also wanted to bring up the idea of how to send a birthday. What do you say to someone when you know that they're grieving the loss and yet they have a birthday? Because it felt really weird, especially after my mom died, because we were so close and she made such a big deal about birthdays, was when I would get birthday cards or, you know, messages on Facebook, happy birthday, celebrate today, you know, and you're just thinking, my mom died 3 months ago and she's not here to wish me happy birthday or to make it special like she always did, or to make my favorite cake or things like that. And so, you know, it felt just a little weird. It's just so hard to explain, but a friend of mine actually sent me a very sweet note, and she said, look, I know today is going to be bittersweet for you, but, you know, try and do something special for yourself, and just know that I'm thinking of you. And she was one of the, you know, handful of friends who acknowledged that, you know, your birthday might be a little hard this year. And so a friend of mine lost her brother this year, and so I made her, she's a fellow Libra, her birthday is Saturday, and I decided to just, you know, make her a card, because there isn't really any kind of Hallmark card about when you're grieving. So I just said, I can't wish you a happy blanking birthday, and then you open it up and it says, because you're grieving, you know, but just know that I love you, know that I'm thinking of you, and you know, try to do something special for yourself on the day, you know. So even if there's no card that you can find that expresses the right words, just make one yourself. You know, I'm no great artist, that's for sure. I didn't draw any kind of elaborate birthday cake or anything on there. So, you know, it's just acknowledgement, I think, is so important when you're grieving. But if you go over to Instagram, you can see I took a picture of the card before I sent it off. And so I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Good to Go Peace, but I think it's going to show up backwards. But anyway, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Good to Go Peace, and you can see a picture of the card that I sent to my friend. What are some things that you think would be comforting to say to someone who's having a birthday? A friend of mine, I actually wrote it down because a friend of mine said the greatest thing. They said, where is it? I wrote it down. Oh yeah. Birthdays mark the passage of time, and may the memories of your loved one bring you comfort. I thought that was I like that. That's very sweet, kind of acknowledges that, you know, you might be a little sad, and, you know, but think of your loved ones. That acknowledges your loved ones. It's really good to have your friends, you know, talk about the person that's died. You know, my one friend, you know, would sort of bring up a memory or something of my dad or mom, and then I'd get emotional about it. But then and then she's like, oh no, I didn't mean to make you upset. I didn't mean to bring it up to make you upset. And I'm just like, you bringing it up is not making me upset. It's always on the surface. It's always just like right here, you know, and then someone says something and you're like, it's a little choked up there. So, you know, you just got to give yourself permission to feel all the feelings and to, you know, be gentle with yourself. Some other things, you know, you could say, I hope today's kind to you, thinking of you on your birthday. And then, you know, you can always maybe write up, you know, a memory that you have of that deceased person, or something that made you laugh. Or, you know, one thing that I really find comforting is when people say, get in touch with me, whether it's text or email, or they call and say, you know, I thought of your mom today, or I thought of your dad today, or I thought of your granny today because I saw this or read this or heard this. And, you know, it's just, it's really lovely to know that the memory of your loved one lives on in other people's hearts and minds, and not just yours, you know. So I always make a point of, you know, mentioning someone's loved one. And, you know, my friend, I'm always just like, Joan would be proud. Is Joan here today? Is she thinking that you should have that to eat, or you know, whatever? So it's just a way of incorporating your loved ones, you know, in your life now, and in your friends. Some things to do maybe for your birthday, if you're kind of not feeling it, if you're grieving, I think is plan ahead. Planning ahead is a good one. One of my pet peeves just about a birthday, grieving or non-grieving, is when everyone's like, what do you want to do on your birthday? And I think not have to plan what I want to do on my birthday. You know, I'm always just like, how long have you known me? Why don't you use all of that friend knowledge, put it together, and kind of come up with, what would Amy want to do? What are her likes and dislikes? I don't want to be in charge. I don't have to figure it out. And then I saw one of my favorite musicians was playing at the Troubadour, which is a really famous club here in LA, and he was playing on my birthday, which was last night. And I just thought, done, you know, easy. I can buy a ticket. Cheap tickets were cheap. And that takes care of any of the, oh, what are you going to do? And how are you going to celebrate? And all of that. So that was a good, easy thing. I told my friend, I said, I love it when there's a gig on my birthday, and that takes away all the pressure. But again, like, I celebrate every day in October, you know, because my friends have such busy schedules. They've got kids, they've got jobs that are 9 to 5 and, you know, busy lives. And so, you know, I spread it out. You know, it's just like, who wants to take me to a birthday lunch? Okay, how about Tuesday at noon? Excellent. You know, it doesn't have to be on your special day. But if you're thinking ahead and you're, you know, and with grief, you just never know when it's going to hit you. I think it's a good idea to, you know, maybe take the day off work if you want to, and maybe just, you know, plan some time alone where you can feel all the feelings and, you know, maybe do something special, maybe like eat, you know, something, a favorite food of your loved one. I mean, my dad loved, you know, I would always think of him for his birthday for, he loved pineapple upside down cakes. And my mom used to make me for my birthday an angel food cake with buttercream icing. So over the weekend when I went to the desert, my friends got an angel food cake and buttercream icing. So that was nice. And yeah, so it's just like little things like that that kind of bring your loved ones closer to you on your birthday, you know. So maybe get a pineapple upside down cake and an angel food cake too. You know, just whatever you need to do. I'm a firm believer in eating your feelings. No, I'm kidding. That could maybe be seen as an unhealthy way of coping with grief. But it actually reminds me of a story, the eating your feelings. I can't remember the name of the place. I think it's Culver's. The place where you, it's in the Midwest. There's a chain of restaurants in the Midwest, and I was going to do the final kind of clear out of my mom's place. And look, I was lucky enough to have one of my mom's friends come with me, and we wanted to grab some dinner since there wasn't going to be anything in the fridge. And so we were at a drive-through at Culver's, and we're looking at the menu, and I'm just like, okay, we want, you know, chicken and mashed potatoes and gravy and vegetables and this. And then, you know, my mom's friend Beth kept saying, you know, oh, and this and rolls, and oh, and maybe pecan pie. And finally we kept adding to the order. We had enough food for probably an army. And finally I just said into the loudspeaker, I'm just like, it's okay, we're eating our feelings. You know, we had so much food. I think that food lasted us for 3 days. But anyway, I digress. We're talking about birthdays and how to celebrate them and how to kind of just be in them if you're grieving. So something that might be a good idea is just plan ahead for your birthday. You can also turn your birthday into an opportunity for growth and healing. You know, you can maybe go to a grief therapy group, or, you know, call a friend and reach out and just say, hey, I'm feeling a little sad, feeling a little weird because today's my birthday. But then, you know, I mean, I was definitely feeling weird. And I told my friends, I said, it feels weird having a birthday when the people that birthed you are gone forever, you know. And it is, it's a very strange kind of thing. So when I woke up yesterday, you know, I made a cup of coffee and then walked past the pictures of my mom and dad, and I was just like, cheers, you know, thanks you guys. Happy birthday to me from my dead parents. And then, you know, so yeah, so you can turn it into an opportunity for growth or healing. You can start a new tradition, you know, maybe in your loved one's memory. I would love to know if, you know, what kind of traditions you guys have started or continued, you know, because love doesn't die when someone passes away. So, you know, maybe you just, you know, incorporate them into your birthday the same way that you always did in some kind of way, you know. And it's okay if it can also just be a day, you know, and I definitely have that attitude of having a birthday be just a day. Oh, hey, Beth is Beth is actually listening. Oh, that's funny. I just told a story about her. Um, yeah, it's okay if your birthday is just a day. I traveled a lot when I was in my 20s, and I lived overseas in London. And so I spent a lot of holidays, not just birthdays, but, Christmases and Thanksgivings and American holidays and things like that. I spent a lot of them either on my own by myself or, with other people who didn't necessarily celebrate those holidays. And I just thought, well, it's just kind of a day if you think about it. It's like I used to joke with my friends, happy Thanksgiving, or as we say in England, happy Thursday. It's just a day. And, I remember vividly having that conversation with my mom, with my granny, and my dad at different times over the years. My granny was living on her own, and, obviously her family, because she was older, a lot of her relatives had passed away. Well, almost all of her relatives passed away. And then the ones who remained, were scattered across the states, and weren't able to kind of be there with her and on her birthday or Christmas. And, she was just like, you know what, it's just a day. And that's how I feel. It's just, I don't pretend, but I was going to say, I pretend it's my birthday every day. I don't pretend, but it's like Christmas is every day. Christmas is in your heart every day. It's the same thing with the birthday. It was just a Wednesday in a lot of ways. I had a mutual friend ask if I wanted to meet one of her friends who was over from England yesterday. And so it just turned out that we were both free yesterday afternoon. And so I went and had lunch with her. And she was just like, I can't believe it's your birthday and you're spending it with a total stranger. And I thought, well, strangers are just friends I haven't met yet, so why not? And it was great, and we clicked, and we had a good time, and talked about our mutual friend with such warmth and love, and so I just thought, well, that's a pretty great way of spending the day of your birthday with, making a new friend, and now I have a new friend, so that was awesome. And then I came home and did a little bit of good to go work, and then I went to the concert and had an amazing, beautiful time. I went by myself because nobody else had heard of Billy Bragg and or wanted to go, and then I just made friends with the people in line. And turns out they sang "Happy Birthday" to me when we got in, which was really sweet. So yeah, it was a great birthday. An unexpected treat to make a new friend and celebrate that way. I also wrote, eat your feelings? No. And then in parentheses, yes, question mark. So let's see. Somebody commented. For some reason, the comment isn't coming up, but I'm not the greatest technical whiz. But as my dad would say, my strengths lie elsewhere. I can produce a TV show or whip up a good to go party, but as far as technical computer stuff goes, I'm not the brightest bulb in the box. But that's okay because my strengths lie elsewhere. Yeah, so we're just talking about birthdays. So I wanted to know, like, what do you guys do? Do you go all out and celebrate? Do you actually like pay some sort of tribute to your loved one? You can light a candle, or a lot of people keep a lot of keepsakes, like cards or little presents and stuff that they've had over the years. I'm so glad, even though I definitely, I don't advocate hoarding or anything, but I did keep a few birthday cards that my mom had sent me. And I think I actually posted one on Instagram. So you can go to @GoodToGoPeace on Instagram and kind of go back a little bit and see the card that my mom sent me on my 30th birthday when I was living in London. And, it's nice to kind of go back sometimes and look at the old cards that you received in the past. But, just being an adult and having a birthday is just so much, so different than when you were a kid. It just seemed like such a big, special deal when you were a kid. And it just gets kind of increasingly less so as you get older. And I don't mean that in a cynical way. Your birthdays can get better in ways that you can decide how you want to celebrate it. But it's just, I can remember, birthdays when I was little and waking up and being so excited and, you know, my mom making a big deal. She'd make me like a special breakfast and, you know, tell me about, you know, what we're going to do later that night after school. And I was just thinking about birthdays past that my loved ones made so special. You know, I remember one birthday, I think I was 10, and I had two best friends that lived like in a town 45 minutes away. They were twins. And I just remember getting home from school, you know, it's like, it's my birthday. And they made the announcements, you know, want to wish happy birthday to Amy Pickard. It was like, hey, I'm special. And so that was a big deal. And everybody in the class was like, hey, happy birthday. Get a special treat, like a cupcake or something at lunch. But I remember getting home from school that day, and I was watching the reruns of the Brady Bunch, which were on in the afternoon after school in Ohio. And I hear a knock at the door, and I look over, and it was my friends who were twins, and they were my best friends. And my mom and their mom had organized it so that they would come a whole hour away to spend, you know, just a quick birthday dinner with me. And I just remember being so surprised and being so stoked. It was just like the greatest thing in the world. So, you know, I've just spent a lot of time the last couple of days thinking back on the really fun birthdays that I had when I was a kid. But yeah, it feels like, you know, wearing your special birthday outfit to school. And you know, it's just when you get older, you know, a lot of that fanfare dies away. But, and that's fine. But, yeah, it's just one of those things. My friend actually, I'm going to reach over. Oh, my friend, the last birthday, she got me this inflatable hat. It's like, it's my birthday hat. But I almost blacked out today when I tried to like blow it up. Oh, wait, it's backwards. There we go. When I tried to blow it up, and I was just like getting short of breath. And it literally would not blow up. Like literally just like the candle got poofy and the rest of the hat did not get poofy. But anyway, it's a little wrinkly, but you can still, should I keep it on? It's actually like, it's plastic, so it would actually be good in the rain. But yeah, I'll go ahead and wear the hat for a little bit just because I can, just to milk the last few moments of my birthday this week. I've got a lot of concerts that I'm going to go to, which I'm really excited because that's my one thing that brings me the most joy in the whole world. Well, one of many things, but those are the main things. But I love going to concerts. So on October 9th, I went to the Troubadour and saw a singer-songwriter named Aaron Lee Tazjan, and that was amazing. And he had two opening bands that were so great. So that was really nice. And then, sorry, I'm getting text alerts. I turned off my phone, but it's coming on my laptop now. And then last night I went to see Billy Bragg. Tonight I'm going to see a friend's band play. He is the drummer in Elvis Costello's band, and they're playing. So I'm going to go to that show. So I'm very excited about that. And then tomorrow I'm going to go see Depeche Mode at the Hollywood Bowl. And then Saturday I am going to see a band called Sparks. So that's 4, 5 concerts in my birthday week, and then I've got more coming up. So it is a Rocktober indeed. Yeah, so we're just talking about birthdays and grieving, grievers and groovers. And I just wanted to let you know that if you're grieving out there and you're celebrating a birthday and, you know, feeling a little bummed, that's okay. You know, just feel all the feelings. And if you can, even though you might not be able to express it in the way you want to, you know, reach out to your friends and let them know how you're feeling, because I'm sure that they would love to help, but they just don't know how. Or maybe they might feel weird about wishing you a happy birthday with a million exclamation points at the end when they know that it's a tough time. So anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know that, you know, birthdays are weird, and it's okay that birthdays are weird, but in a way you've got to keep it weird in a fun way. How do you think I look, you guys? I can't believe I'm still single. But anyway, I just wanted to send all kinds of love out to you guys, and tune in next Wednesday on our Facebook Live. We're going to talk about more griefy stuff, more death positive chat. And I wish all of you the happiest of birthdays. And oh my gosh, now it's just like giving me a headache because it's like tight on my head. And let you know that I'm thinking about you, and that you know, give a shout out to your loved ones who are around us here in spirit, and who we think about and who we miss every single day. So follow me on Instagram and Twitter at GoodToGoPeace, and have an awesome day. And I'm thinking about you guys. Take care, grievers and groovers. Talk to you later. Bye.